So, well, actually, let me do this. Let me just exit out of this quickly and then. So if people aren't familiar with Ampt, which I hopefully most people have heard about it. If you haven't heard about it, then I'll give you a quick overview. But the idea behind, oh, can you not see that screen? Hold on, you can't see that
We
screen,
can
can
see the
you?
Ampt homepage right now.
Oh, you can. Okay, why
Yep.
can't I see it on my? Oh, I know why, because it's never mind. All right. So anyway, so the basic idea behind Amp was that I've been building serverless applications since 2015. So right about the time that Lambda went GA is when I discovered it. I was working at this other startup. We were building an app for like shopping comparison. We were, pulling all kinds of data in. We had this massive database cluster that was all sharded and pulling in product SKUs from all these different places. And then we were doing this comparison thing where you could like set an alert and say, okay, if the price changes by a certain amount, I want to get a notification. So we're doing all this stuff, and we had this opportunity where we actually got featured on Good Morning America, I think it was, in one of these short little clip things that they did. And we had like 10,000 signups like in a minute. Like it was crazy. And I remember we spent like weeks and weeks preparing for this thing. And we said, okay, we need to make sure that nothing's going to fall over. And the CTO at the time and all the engineers were like, no, this is like we're ready to go. Nothing's going to fail. We had DynamoDB serving up collections. We had like all kinds of really interesting things going on. We're like, all right, we should be good. The failure point was the MySQL database that did the authorization, that did the logins, right? So basically, when they tried to sign up, it just overwhelmed the database and everything failed. So not only that, even people who created accounts couldn't then log in because the database for the login wasn't responding. So anyways, that actually got me sort of exploring, and that's when I came across Lambda, and it was very nascent at the time. Like you couldn't even do API gateway and some of these other things. But I remember sort of falling in love with that idea of saying like, so you're telling me I can just write application code and then this thing will just scale up as much as it possibly, as much as it needs to. Now, of course, we know that's not 100% true, but the general idea is there. So I started building with Lambda, and I remember when I first started, it was very, very easy to do. They introduced API Gateway in like July of 2015, and then we didn't even have VPCs until I think 2016, so you couldn't do like Elastic Cache or some of these other things. But so I started playing around with this stuff, and it was very easy to build these like just quick things that did basic responses to a web or a web request or an API or things like that. Connecting to data was a little bit harder if you weren't using DynamoDB, but it was relatively simple. And then, of course, the problem with simplicity is that it doesn't necessarily do enough for you, right? Like there's so many things that you then have to extend it to do. So these are things like, okay, well, that's great, but maybe I need these rolling windows, or maybe I need this asynchronous processing, or maybe I need some way in which I can, do these retries. And what happens if this fails and I have to, back off a queue or something like that, or I have to start doing some load shedding or whatever. Like all these things get much more complex when you start building real world applications. So I discovered the serverless framework late 2015, I think, when it first came out as JAWS. Started playing around with that. And I love that experience better because I wasn't thinking about clicking around in the console. I didn't have to set up CloudFormation docs. It was like these simple sort of just abstractions for saying, I want this, I want that. The problem then is that, again, it became more and more complex. And I felt like I was spending the vast majority of my time figuring out what the right configuration was to make it work, as opposed to writing the application code that actually did the thing I wanted it to do. So I had been on a mission for years and years and years trying to build out a tool or tools that would help developers do this. I built Lambda API, I built serverless MySQL, I built the DynamoDB toolbox, I built the data API client for Aurora Serverless V1 for their data API. So I was trying to build all these different things that would like help you here and help you there and help you there, but it still required all this configuration. So the idea behind Ampt started as serverless cloud, and the goal was to say, is it possible to forget about all of the complexity behind the scenes? Forget about trying to wire these different services together. What if we could just write the application code and then we could figure out what it needed to do from there? So we've been through a bunch of iterations on this, and we were originally kind of calling it infrastructure from code. We still kind of call it that. But then Sean Wang Swix, made this sort of post or wrote this post about self-provisioning runtimes, which was really, really interesting concept. Where like that's kind of what we're doing and so forth. So there's been a lot of iterations, but essentially here's where we've landed. We've landed now to say your application code holds enough information or should hold enough information to get you probably 95% of the way there in terms of what it is you need in order for that application to run. And so as long as your application code has, sort of the right hints in it or is using, pretty standard formats like, web frameworks, things like that, there should be a system that's smart enough to take that code and say, in order for me to run this snippet of code, I need to implement this pattern, this well-known pattern. Alan, you and I have talked about this in the past, this idea of productized patterns. Like, what is this well-known pattern that would make executing this snippet of code or this chunk of code possible without me having to think about it? And so that's essentially what we've now done with Ampt is built what we're essentially calling, a self-provisioning runtime. It can be for serverless. I mean, basically, we're not only focused on serverless. One of the things that we notice is that as applications start to scale, you can start getting efficiencies when you switch to containers sometimes, and sometimes it makes more sense, depending on what your workloads are, to do different things. But let me take a step back because again, there's so much to like kind of go through. And let me just go through this presentation quickly. So the idea behind this, sorry, I got too many windows open, guys. Okay, here we go. So the idea is that if you think about all the things that you would need to run an application, right? So you've got compute, right? That's sort of the normal thing that you have. Oftentimes you need an HTTP interface into it. So that's another component that you need. If you're doing this globally and it's not just like, a regional thing, then you are likely going to want a CDN, not only to cache things, but also to help with, help with routing and even things like, DDoS attacks and stuff like that. Like you want to be able to have that global CDN in place. You're going to need some sort of a data store to make something work, because again, they're not very interesting if they don't have data stores. You're likely serving up some sort of files, whether they're static assets or something more complex, and you probably need some sort of secrets management because you're going to have to interface with other services. I just went backwards and it erased all of that. Sorry. Here we go. All right. And then a couple other things that are just useful to have, things like schedulers, right? So if I want to say, I want to run this ETL task every night at midnight, or I want to run this particular task, an hour from the time that somebody does something. Event buses, obviously we've had this sort of like this what's the word for it? Like a renaissance of event-driven applications now, right? So everything's event-driven. That's, serverless is better defined probably as event-driven than anything else. So you need an event bus. You need queues, probably. WebSockets are helpful for real-time interactions. And then you probably need things like workflows and other integrations in order to make some of the stuff work. And then if you look at the compute level, where we've got containers, we've got fast, and we also have edge compute now, which is interesting to see sort of Vercel walking back some of the edge compute stuff that they're talking about. But let's say that you took all of this stuff, all of these sort of configured components, which by the way, on AWS, other than the container piece of this, you can actually have all of this stuff running in an account for free. It doesn't cost you anything to just have it sort of provisioned and waiting there. And this is essentially what we've done is taken this set of core sort of features and services that you need, and we put them into what we call Ampt environments. This is entirely contained within a single AWS account. Every single environment lives in its own AWS account, so all the bulkheads are there. And the benefits here is that it's pre-provisioned. So the CDN is already set up, right? It doesn't take 15 minutes for that to spin up. You don't have to worry about, setting up all these other services. They're already ready to go. It's completely isolated, as I mentioned. It's secure by design, right? So even the way that we set it up is we have our orchestrator that actually creates these resources and then actually deletes the role that it used to create the original controls. And then we just give it an admin role that allows you to do some configurations, but it's super secure. It's auditable, meaning you can go in, you can look at it. It's extensible. We can connect to other services. You could technically install additional services in here if you wanted to. And then this is one of the things that we think is really cool about it is it's evolvable, right? Because you're not writing static architecture, like an IAC, infrastructure as code. You're not saying, here's my architecture, here's exactly what I want it to be, here's the explicit way in which I want this to be deployed. And then the system itself can actually evolve based off of new features, off of new capabilities, without you actually having to change anything. And it's also consistent, meaning that the way that this works is it's a deterministic deploy. So as long as your code doesn't change, it's always going to deploy the exact same version of it. So it's not like ChatGPT generating a bunch of cloud formation for you. It's always going to be consistent and deterministic. And then just quickly, the idea is that you can have as many of these Ampt environments as you want to. Each one of these are independent, which means you're not sharing resources. You don't have to worry about resource contention. You don't have to worry about somebody messing up your database. That's all completely contained. And then where we try to add value beyond that is through the orchestration service that we create. So that does all the account vending for you and provisioning. You don't have to set up your own AWS accounts. The CI/CD is all built in for you. You have all the access, all your controls for user management and access control, the monitoring, the logging, the alerts, the metrics. It's all built in. You get that developer sandbox, which we'll look at in a second with this really cool local sync technology, and then that centralized secrets management. And then the final piece is the architecture optimizer. And the goal here is to say, if I've got a Kinesis, or maybe I deployed this originally with some sort of queue and it's running with SQS, right? Well, SQS is great until you get to a really high throughput, and then it makes more sense to maybe switch to something like Kinesis. But you don't necessarily want to have Kinesis running if you've got 20 preview branches and 30 developers and all these different things, because you're paying $5 a shard for all that stuff. The goal here is to say, well, what if you can use SQS in your development environment, but then have the same behavior in a production environment if that gets switched to a different service behind the scenes for you, and actually optimize it that way. So just quickly, there's a management console, there's the CLI, our SDK, which we'll get into quickly, and then the core piece of this is the cloud runtime that we built. Now, this is just Node 20. It's not like it's its own separate runtime. It's a layer that runs on top of Node 20. You can also run on Node 18 as well. But this does automatic TypeScript transpilation, so you don't need to compile your app. It just automatically does the ES builds for you. It has all the web API polyfills, so you can use services like Elysia or Hono or things like that. It's got the streaming support built in, so you don't have to worry about switching between API gateway and CloudFront in order to do that. It just automatically takes care of it for you. All the event adapters, so we can switch between the different computes. And then finally, this dev mode support, which is pretty cool. So all right, that's the overview. Again, it runs on Lambda, Fargate, App Runner, some stuff on the edge. And this is really where we consider this to be the self-provisioning runtime, because what this does is it uses that node environment. It takes your app code. It does what we call runtime introspection, looks at all your application code, figures out what you need, and then configures that environment for you. And that's basically the magic of how this works. All right, let me cut out of there, and then let's go back, get this out of the way. All right, so I think the best way to kind of do this is, hide that, is to try to build something. So we were talking before, what do we want to build?
I had an idea,
Okay.
but we can use my idea as the last resort if nobody else has an idea. I want to give the opportunity to other people. Okay.
All right,
I gave
throw it out
everyone
there.
a shot. Let's make a meme generator, Jeremy.
A meme generator. Okay.
Yep.
Let's do it. All right. So here's what we're going to do. So I just opened Visual Studio Code here. I don't want that. I want to open my terminal here. I'm going to CD into a local directory on my machine, git/sandbox, like this. And then let's make a directory called meme generator. Like that. Okay, so CD into meme generator, and then open this code up. Okay, so we're in an empty directory now. There's no files here. And let's do, open this up. And I'll just do ls to show we're empty here. And then I'm just going to run the ampt command. Now you can run the ampt command with, you just install it, npmi at ampt/CLI. So I'll do this in the demo account. Yes, I want to create a new app. Let's use Hono because I love Hono. It's such a great thing. We'll type in meme generator like this. Yes, do it in the current directory. Okay, so this now is what is happening right now is this is just bootstrapped an app for me. This is all the files we need. There's nothing in here that talks about like, am I using a Lambda function? Do I have an API gateway set up? None of that is there. This just goes ahead and is creating an AWS account for me, connecting to this. And now within, what was it, 15 seconds, I have a URL here. And this URL is now a live URL pointing to an AWS, a completely isolated AWS account. And so this is my unique URL. And the way that this works, of course, this is just by default as part of the template that we used. But essentially, you get this static folder. And the static folder is cool because what the static folder does is it takes anything in that static folder, it creates a manifest of it, it ships that to the edge instantaneously, and gives you a routing within an edge function so that you can actually run static assets right next to dynamic routes. So if you have, image.jpg and then image1.jpg. Image1.jpg could be a dynamic route that loads an image dynamically, where image.jpg could be a static route. So it automatically handles that for you. It's all routed through CloudFront, and then back to Lambda functions or a separate S3 bucket. It's very cool, but that's a pattern that we developed that just works really, really well. Okay, so just so we know how this works. So in this index file here, if I go in, this is just let me make it a little bit smaller so we can see. All right, so in this index file, I'll go to this section here. This is just the placeholder section. So I'm going to delete this out, and I'll just say hello from Ampt. All right, so again, back to this. This is our live page. This is local. Watch this little lightning bolt down there. As soon as I hit save, it spins and gives me the check mark. As soon as I do that, I come over here. Now that is completely refreshed, and that is live in your cloud account in your dev sandbox right now. Done. Okay. So that's all fine and good for static assets. What about for dynamic routes? So again, this is my index.ts file. This is all just straight node, basic JavaScript. I've got a main. I've got my entry point defined as index.ts on this main file. On my package.json. I've got my index.ts here. This is just this default app that we spit out for you. So if you go to /hello, I do /hello like this, then this is going to go ahead and load this hello for me. And if I make a change here, hello from Ampt, an exclamation point, save it, jump over, refresh, and it's there. So it's about 300 milliseconds is the actual sync time. Sometimes you get a little cold start because again, it is development. You're developing again. You are refreshing a bunch of stuff. So, but it happens so fast that it just gives you a really great way to do that. Okay, so we want to create a meme generator. So I'm assuming that what we want to do is let's do this. So first of all, we're going to need an image, a way to process images, right? So let's install. Let's do this. I'm going to install, can't spell, guys, sorry. Install. Let's use, what do we want to make them? GIMP, or should we use?
You have Ampt has Gen AI capabilities, right?
It does. Oh, you want to make a meme generator with Gen AI? Oh, we could do that too. Okay. Well, actually, let's do this. So, all right, good idea. Let's do this. So we're going to install, if I can do this, @ampt/AI. So this is just our AI package. And by the way, in our docs here, just to kind of get you familiar. So we have two different things. We have interfaces and we have modules. So interfaces are our built-in interfaces that interface with the existing Ampt environment, right? So those are things like tasks and events, parameter storage, that allows you to connect to all those different things that are part of that Ampt environment. And then we have some additional, what we call modules. So that's like our data, our AI, SQL, and so forth. So these kind of extend the Ampt environment a little bit with like a DynamoDB table or access to Bedrock and some of that stuff. So AI gives us the ability to do some pretty cool things because it allows us to kind of connect. Hold on, let me make this bigger so we can see the. So this allows us to do like render, for example, which basically taps into any of the different models that allow us to do rendering. By default, I think it uses stability to start with. So all we have to do is just basically import this render from Ampt AI. So we'll do this like that. And then we want to generate an image. What we need to do is simply run this here. So we would do, where is it? Return event. No, where am I looking at? API router. Here we go. Okay. So yeah, render. So we want to take a prompt and we want to render. We want to use this await render, and that will go ahead and generate something for us. So let me go over here and let's change this hello route. Actually, I'm going to get rid of all this extra stuff so we don't have this in the way. And we're just going to call this, we'll just call this render. And all right, so we'll do await render. Going to make this async like this. All right, so we need a prompt. So I'm going to just fill a prompt in just to test this out. So we'll say, let's see, generate, or how about, I don't know, I'm going to say dog on a beach for now, and we can change this. Oh, how dog on a skateboard? How about that? Okay, so dog on a skateboard. So this will go ahead. These two lines, or this 2 lines of code, these 2 lines of code will now generate using this render function. We'll go ahead and generate an image for us. And again, you can go in and put a whole bunch of stuff in here. So the different options like the width, the height, the model ID, step, seed. So there's a bunch of different things we can do, but we'll keep it simple to start with. And then that should return for us, if I remember correctly, that's going to return a buffer. So it looks like we want to get the array buffer from that. I think we might be able to just return the body. Hold on, let me just see. We can just do this body and response. This might, what is it not like? No overload. Oh, I think it's because we have to say 200. Oops. Sorry, trying to remember how to use Hono here. 200 and then header. We want content type image. So return a JPG, PNG. So, okay. Why is this not like this though? Response is not assignable parameter type data null. Okay, let me try array buffer. All right, let's see what this does just out of curiosity, and then we can always mess with it later. All right, so this was render. Okay, let's see what it tells me. What did I do wrong? This is saying the model version has reached the end of its life. Oh, please refer to the AD. Oh, okay, can't use that model. Hold on, let me, hmm. This is, I think that's the only model we have for that right now. When did that reach end of life? Does anybody know?
Do not know that one.
Status code 404 undefined. So this model version reached end. Please refer to the AWS documentation. Okay, hold on. Let me just check. Let's see. Bedrock models. Okay, we want stable diffusion. So 1.0, what are we trying to use here? Uh, all right, let's see if this works. We'll put in, I don't know if this is going to work. We may have stumped me because now, if this, I don't know how that model got deprecated, but should give us.
Did I write up a ticket or?
Yeah, I mean, you might want to submit something. I'm trying to see. So stable diffusion is only saying XLV1. Is there another model on here that does the Titan model just came out, but I don't think we released that one yet. Um, let me try instruct V1. So stable diffusion. I have a feeling that this is going to, oops, not work. Probably going to say that that model doesn't exist. Can I read properties undefined region? Oh yeah, because that model doesn't exist. Okay, so all right. Well, I can't make that work while we're on the call. But let's
Can we talk about though, like you're looking at logs from the live version inside of VS Code?
yeah. So this right, these logs right here are being sent down over a WebSocket into my CLI. That these are all the combined logs that are coming in on the back end. Now the other thing you have is if I type open here, This will open me to this meme generator, and this is my sandbox here. So if I click into the sandbox, I've got, tells me some basic information, some basic metrics. I've got my data, SQL storage, logs, the whole deal. So if I go into logs here, I actually have this really cool logs interface that we created, this sort of invocation interface that will show me that I can actually go in and I can see the details of these different things. And what's cool about this is just using CloudWatch, right? So there's no special system behind the scenes. And one of the things that we did to make this like crazy fast, like so if I want to say I just want to see these static requests, like this loads super fast, even if I go back 30 minutes or 5 minutes. And the reason is because we actually create a read-only key that gets generated just for your session here that connects directly into the CloudWatch API, right? So you don't have to direct it through another backend service and redirect it. And we're not doing anything on our side. Like the goal here is to make us a very lightweight layer on top of AWS, right? Just to give you the controls that you need. I'm a little bummed about this stable diffusion thing. I don't know why they deprecated that version of it, but well, let's do this though, because there's another way that we can do it. So maybe we'll grab an image and rather than generating an image, I guess we could probably connect into. Well, here let's do something quickly before we do. We can still use the AI thing maybe, but we'll find a different way to generate the image. So
Yeah, what if we
let's do
did like
this.
a
What
caption
about
this?
go ahead,
I
Andrew.
do. What I was saying is, what if we did like a caption this, where you upload a picture and then use the AI to caption that meme style?
Yeah, I think that the only thing is that there's no vision model that we have yet. Oh,
So
actually, I think there might be.
I
Do
was
any
thinking, I was thinking
Sonnet has that.
a meme generator for the blind where it just describes the meme.
so do any of these models do we know have vision built in?
Sonnet,
Which one?
uh, Anthropic Claude 3 Sonnet.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Hmm.
All right. So let's do this then. And that would be what would we have? We'd probably have to use this straight invoke, right? So okay, so let's do this. Um, let's see if we can figure out how to do this. I've never done this with this, so let's figure out if we can. So okay, vision capabilities. So what do we have to do here? You have to give it an image URL. To utilize images when making API requests, you can provide images to Claude as a base 64 encoded image in an image content blocks. Okay, so we'll have to use, oh, let's see if this works. All right, so we have to use the invoke model directly, which basically just calls invoke with whatever parameters we want, including the body, the content type, some other things, the model ID, and so forth. So let's do this. So we'll do await, bring in invoke. Can't believe they just deprecated a model like that. That seems kind of crappy, but
Seems
so
anti-AWS to deprecate anything.
I know, right? So I wonder if they or if it was just Anthropic that, or who was it? Stable Diffusion that did that. So okay, all right. So here's what I'm going to try to figure out. Bear with me for a second, because again, I have not done this before. So we are going to take. Here's the invoke model here. Get that out of the way. All right. And so to use invoke, we have to send in invoke with params, accept a single object with the following properties. So it needs a body, the content type, accept application JSON, and model ID. Okay. So copy those over and we'll invoke this with a body and content type. I guess we can default. That's fine if it does that. So accept, we might have to change. And then the model ID, we want to be uh, Sonnet, right? So copy this, put this into the model ID like this. Okay, and put a comma there. All right. So now we need to, according to this, we have to send in role, user, content, type, image, source, type base64, and then text describe this image. Okay, so here's the message we want to send in. Well, this says that it's using Opus, but I'm assuming this will work with the other one as well. Okay, so here for the body, then we should be able to send in messages. The image data type, okay. Feel like I'm trying out for an internship at Facebook. All right. Let's see, role, user, image, base64. Okay, so this, let's see what else we're missing here. We got the role, got that, max tokens. All right, so we do need to put in max tokens as well. I think that is another, that might be here. Max. No. All right, let's just see what this does. It'll probably give us an error, but what are you going to do? All right, so this is saying that malformed input request subject must not be valid against schema, required messages, required max tokens not found, required key anthropic version not found, message expect JSON array found JSON object. Please reformat your input and try again. Okay, let's just make sure we get the right model, max tokens, messages. So maybe it needs all of this. Let's try this. So for the body, I love when that happens. All right, for the body, it's saying it wants a object. I mean, it wants an array, not an object, but that doesn't make sense. So let me just figure out what's going on.
This is using the messages API in Anthropic, which it's the conversational one. So
Okay.
it does do
It
an array, so you can do the full exchange if you wanted to. That's why it has it as an array.
has the messages as an array.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, that should be fine. I'm just wondering, I know this isn't the right information, but I'm just trying to get the model itself to respond correctly. Oh, let me get rid of accept. Maybe that could. But this is Claude 3 Opus. So I'm just wondering how to use this directly. I've literally never done this before through here, so I don't know if it's we might have stumped me here. Let's see, malform request. Subject must not be valid against schema required messages. Okay, but messages is there, but why is it saying, does it want messages as a extraneous key model is not permitted? Okay, but I thought you said you wanted that. Is not permitted. Please reformat your input. I still don't know why it's saying messages is required, but messages is there unless it's looking for it. All right. Well,
Is this going to Bedrock, Jeremy?
this is going to Bedrock. Yeah. That's
Uh,
why that's what I'm trying to figure out. So maybe if we look at, let's see, what are we using? You want to use Sonnet with this, right? So Claude 3 Sonnet with Bedrock.
I believe, could be wrong, but I believe the body property needs to be stringified JSON, and that might be why it's not finding the right schema.
Okay, well, let's do that then. So this here, we want the body to be stringify and stringify. Okay, so, and then we'll do the model there. Okay, well, let's see what this does. Just gonna figure out that. All right, that's what the error is this time. Malformed input request. All right, well, unless we can find an example, because again, this is a use case, conversational chatbots, code generation. Let's try this. Does it give us any examples? I guess we could ask Q. Documentation. Be nice if it was easy to find some things too, right? So let's see, Bedrock. This is probably not a very exciting let's see.
What's
GovCloud.
cool, what's cool is kind of seeing how you can get the feedback, right? And you're iterating right from the console, and it's like, okay, you obviously have to go to a browser and search a little bit, or like I said, use more AI in your workflow. But the feedback from Ampt straight from the terminal is pretty cool.
All right. Is there, so this basically, when it calls the invoke model, it's just doing the invoke, but like trying to find an example. Let's see. You know what we can do here? What if we did this? What if we go to our old friend ChatGPT and see if it can give us an example? All right. So let's say example, what do we want? Claude 3 Sonnet, right? Example request with Amazon Bedrock. There's a bit of confusion here. Refers to a specific model or framework. Okay. Could you more context? Okay. Just invoke model. Uh, oh, I see what you're aiming for now. Fortunately, I can't directly invoke models. No, I don't. It says how I generate a sonnet for you using the cloud. Okay. No, it doesn't. It doesn't get it. Let's see. Code example of invoke model with Amazon Bedrock using the can't spell, Anthropic Claude model. Let's just see if that'll.
I found a link. I found a documentation link with an example. It's in Python, but it's still JSON. So
Yeah, that's all I need.
I sent it in the Zoom chat link.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple in the chat.
Oh, there's a whole bunch of people probably sending me things and I wasn't looking in there. All right, docs. All right. So, all right. This says, so Anthropic version, max tokens, messages is the request body. Okay. So this should be all we need, this. So let me go back over here. Move that. Okay. So this should be the body. Version. All right, so role user text prompt. I'm just going to not do base 64 data. We just need this to respond to us. So Anthropic version, that. Okay, let's just see if this. I'm going to do this too. Rather than trying to return it, I'm just going to go ahead and log the response. So if it does come back, we'll get some information there. All right, over here, refresh. Come on, baby. There we go. Okay, so what did this tell us now? Okay, so here's what it came back with. Settings, body, stream, undefined, source. Okay, so at least it gave us some information. So that's good. And we don't want to return this as we don't want to return this as a body. We'll return this as JSON, whatever this response is, like this. And now we should be able to come back over here, refresh this. All right, and it's not returning anything because there's nothing there, but okay, so now we should be able to try to get an image in here, right? So it seems as though it's actually doing something. And actually, if I do, just out of curiosity, if I get rid of this and say, I don't know, make up a story about a dragon and a princess. Okay, perfect. All right, let me try that to see if we get anything back. Do response invoke. Why are we not getting anything back though? Response setting objects. Stream undefined. Oh, I think we do. Hold on. All right, text. There's a way to we made this easy by having a couple of ways that you can return things back. So invoke resolves to a response object with a readable stream body containing the model response, the format. So I think there's ways that you can just say like, get me the text. Yeah, dot text if you want to manipulate. Okay, so I think if we do dot text, this might return something for me. Let's see. Let me just clear that out. Oh, pending. Why is it pending? We're awaiting it, right? Oh, do we have to await this? We might need to await this. Hold on.
Yeah.
Again. It's working. Something's happening. I feel like it is. There we go. Okay, so now, all right, now I get all this junk back here. I don't know what all this is, but oh, this because it's a stream, I think. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anyways, we're getting something back. So we've cracked the first we've cracked the first part of it. All right, let's just do this. We can make this simple. So let's grab an image. Let's say I don't know, dog on a beach. I don't know why I have that stuck in my head, but we'll just do that. So we'll grab a dog on the beach. We'll copy this image, and then let's go to actually, will Chat GPT do this for me?
Is it Cancun though?
Oh, do we want to do Cancun? How about dog on a beach in Cancun? Would that work? Hold on, where's ChatGPT? Okay, so I want to say convert, let's see, convert this image to base 64. Oh,
I'm
can I
glad I'm
not
not the
upload
only
it?
one that does stuff like this.
I might need to sign in to do that. Hold on, let me see. Image, image to base 64 conversion. Well, actually, the funny thing with ChatGPT now, I love it because it just makes it so much easier to ask questions. And if anybody if you're not subscribed to Forrest Brazil's newsletter, you definitely should. He wrote a post the other day that was about how, when you're a new developer and you're going to you want to use Stack Overflow, like how it was just so mean. Like people were just so mean to you on Stack Overflow when you asked a question. They're like, "Well, that's a dumb question," or something, something stupid like that. Whereas ChatGPT just doesn't judge you, right? It just, all right, hold on. So, anyways, it's pretty good. So I want to use data in an image element. Nope, I don't want that, right? I want to use. I guess I could use this. Will this work? Let's try it. I'm gonna come over here. And I'm going to put this image in like this. And then my base 64 image data is going to be this. Do I need this? I think I need this first, right? Probably need to include that, although it says JPEG and I want to change this.
Yeah.
I don't know if I need data : image JPEG though.
I think
maybe I
that's
did.
only for the browser.
Right. So I just need to start from here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Save that. Okay. And then we want to describe. So we probably want to switch this the other way though, right? I don't know if this matters but we want to say describe this image. Okay. Let me see if this does anything or continues to yell at us. Um, oops. Is that the new one? So the only thing about this is that when it spits back too much text for you, this is the new one here. Okay, so message start. All right, message assistance. Okay, so this should give us, this should be returning for us a response object that has a readable stream there. So in order to output a readable stream, let me see if I can remember how to do that. Again, I don't know if this is actually describing the image. I'm not 100% sure. But rather than doing this here, if we just do, can I just do that? What is it saying here? This is going to say, oh, and I might have to do, um, uh, yeah, let me try that. Content headers, content type, application, JSON. No, it's going to be, uh, or is it, yeah, is it text slash HTML or HTML slash text? I always forget. I think it's the other way around, isn't it? Um, let's see what this does. That's not right. So it's definitely text slash HTML, I think, right?
Yeah, I
So I
think
want
you're
to,
right.
yeah, and I want to output a stream. So hold on, let me just double check here with Hono about the streaming stuff. Because I might need to do this because if it returns a stream, we might need to stream it this way. We might not be able to just dump it straight to the body. So let's try this. So let's do stream. So we shouldn't need to, no, we shouldn't need to do that though, because it's just, the stream itself should just be streamable, but we do probably need to, let me check one thing. All right, let's try this. I think if it's just a stream, I can output it, but I need to use these. I need to use this and then make it chunked. I don't know why the response is yelling at me like that, though. That should work. Let me try this again. Object response. Okay. So I got something, which is interesting. Response, wait, invoke. So this looks like it should be doing what I want it to do, but for some reason, just the response itself spitting back.
That could be your HTML that's trying to render that.
Yeah, but it's spitting back as a body, so I don't know why. It should be a readable stream, not a read stream, or one's web friendly, the other one is node friendly. It's a readable stream. Right, so this returns a readable stream, so it should be able to just get readable pipe to little t. I'm not, even when I do response.text though, I'm getting a weird, I shouldn't need to await the response because this should just be the actual. So this takes, I don't think I need to do this either. This should just work. Okay. What is it not like? V is not iterable. Okay. Well, that's new. So I'm trying to figure out the why I'm not getting back something input count, output token count. So I'm getting something and it's telling me, here's my input tokens, here are my output tokens. It's giving me all the data here, but I'm not able to, for some reason, I'm not able to loop through it. I don't know if that's because what I'm putting out here. Role user.
It might be that that Anthropic isn't responding with the stream. I think there might be a.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, because it's but it should be a stream though. I mean, if we
So
just
you're
if
able
we
to log it. If you set that to a variable and just spit out the variable, is it because you're rewinding the stream and reusing it?
I don't know. Let's see. We'll output this. Well, let's output it as text first of all, and then we can just
And then
I'll
update that part to spit out output.
Yeah, hold on. So let's do return. I can only type c.json, and then we'll spit out the output like this. And then let's try, see what this does. Maybe at least format it better for us. We might be able to see what it says. This could be spitting back a lot of data too. Okay.
That's
so
something. I
these
put
are
in
all,
the
yeah.
chat here. I put in the chat, Jeremy, what I use for parsing Anthropic responses from Bedrock. It's
Okay.
not a stream. It'll be the text answer.
All right. So
I saw a piece of text in that JSON that said beach. That's exciting.
oh, really? Beach.
Yeah, look at that.
Beach. Yeah. So
And
that's each one of these is a chunk, right? Like these are all part of this. I think this is a stream.
it says golden dog in the beach. Yeah, so it's
So this is definitely, so you're using
It's
new
there.
text decoder dot decode response dot body.
In response is the response from the Bedrock, what is it?
Right.
Bedrock runtime client dot send.
Okay. So what if we tried this? And then, so response, it says argument of type readable stream is not assigned to a parameter of type allow share buffer source undefined. Okay, well, let's see what this, again, TypeScript yells at me a lot, so.
That's why I just don't use it.
I know. Trust me,
Good
I'm in
advice.
that camp. List argument shared, but must be an instance of shared array or array buffer. Where is that?
Line 36. It
Line
doesn't
30.
like response.body. I think it's undefined, and text decode is looking for that object.
Maybe the
Okay.
response.text thing, or just straight up.
Oh, maybe. Hold on. So type list. So it's looking for an array buffer. I mean, it could be something that I don't think this is going to work either, but nope. It's going to give me the same argument, the type list. So what if we so I don't know, do we need text decoder though? It's got to be a stream. I know it's got to be a stream because it definitely comes back as a stream. And that's where this here, right? It's giving us those,
The data.
so I wonder if this is like, I don't think you do array. If we turn this into an array buffer, could we then parse that output with text decoder? What would this do for us?
Wasn't it already coming back as JSON with text because you were spitting it out?
Yeah, so when
response as JSON?
if I do dot text, it converts the stream into text for me. But this is what you get back. This big giant JSON blob is what we're getting back for text. So hold on.
So you have to filter out some pieces of that, right? Like you just
Yeah,
want
so
specific pieces of that JSON because that's your result. So you just
this is
want,
my
let's
this is
say,
my result. Yeah. So I mean, basically the text, I want the text from this. The image shows yeah, it's all in here. A golden retriever. Yeah, I mean, this is I don't know why I just can't figure out how to get this to print out right. This should be, yeah, why would this not? So
you
this
need
is
to
coming.
post process that JSON and just strip out all the like request text. Is it like an array of text blocks?
Yeah, I
What
mean,
is
I
that?
guess I mean, if we did this, if I did JSON.parse, just out of curiosity, but the whole point is this should be a stream so that I can so that I could like iterate like I could go ahead and spit it back in chunks. I could stream it back to the browser. Because this is gonna be too much. Yeah, what is it? It doesn't like that. It says unexpected non-white space character after JSON. Yeah, so
I do have to throw out there, we're at the 2-minute warning.
yeah, we're at 2 minutes. We're at 2 minutes. Okay. All right. So we almost got it. So, well, what if we did, I'm just trying to figure out if we can't even parse that JSON because of um, I know it's coming back as I know it's coming back as um, why, what can we do? Could we do this actually? Hold on. Uh, just do log response or type of response. And let's just see what this is telling me. This is going to be just an object. Okay, so that doesn't help us. All right. Well, you stumped me. So that's, hopefully this was useful to everyone. But so again, I guess if you know Node better than I do, then you probably could figure this out, exactly why this is. We might have to like maybe manually process this, but this just seems. Oh, actually, oh, let me just try one more thing. I'm just out of curiosity. Oh, that's not going to work. Right. What does this do? Should give me a big error. Yeah, okay, because it doesn't like we don't need to, the problem is we don't need that. Yeah, all right, well, we're not going to figure it out on the live stream. So with 1 minute left, let me just quickly, talk about a couple of other sort of major things. So the AI piece of this, obviously would have been nicer if the model hadn't been deactivated or end of life, but these other things here, these are obviously not reliant on Bedrock and a technology that's changing very fast, but things like tasks and events and parameters and storage. And again, you have this entire system on the back end here where you can go into each one of your individual instances or environments, and you've got control over everything from your storage to SQL if you want to enable that with Postgres, using Neon, some metrics here for you. Again, full history of deployment, stuff like that. So I wish that would have worked. And I did ask you to throw something at me to try to build, and so I should have known that was going to happen. But hey, what are you going to do? It's live TV, right?
That's what's fun about it.
Well, we'll have to do this again, and I'll have to prepare something that I know will work. How about that?
Fair
I'm
enough.
sure. And you know what the sad thing is? I'm going to spend like the next like 5 hours getting this to work just because
Yes.
it's going to drive me nuts. But if anybody wants to play around with it, I mean, you can do this yourself, right? You can, I mean, sign up for Ampt to, go in and start playing around with it. And we give everybody a small quota for AI, so you can go in and use the AI stuff for free and do a couple of queries and generation. I got to figure out why this image generation thing is deprecated as well. So get that model updated for everybody. But yeah. So anyways, if you have questions about Ampt, check out the live streams too. Every Thursday, I did a live stream this morning. We do a live stream. We've got, I hope, pretty good docs here. So if you're if you're interested in learning more about the different features and how stuff works, do that. And then the other thing we have is we have a bunch of templates that you can work off of. So if you go to ampt-templates, oops, type it in correctly, templates. There's a bunch of these sort of starter templates for you for all these different, projects. So we support Fastify and Rustify and Next and, Vue, Nest, Nuxt, SvelteKit, Astro, they're all supported. So if you want to go ahead and play around with any of those, you can do that. As well. All right. I'm sorry if people watched this whole thing and were terribly disappointed.
Well, just tweet it out. Let's send out a tweet later that you solved it. So
I will. I actually have to go somewhere now, but when I get back tonight, that's what I'm going to be. I'm going to be figuring out why that doesn't work. And I'm sure it's just a matter of a few rounds with ChatGPT for it to eventually figure it out.
I'm glad we have the same programming style, Jeremy. That's totally what I would do. Same boat.
It
Well,
used to
thanks so
be,
much.
again, you spent hours on Stack Overflow trying to find the right thing and then adapting it with sometimes you just need that tiny bit of help to get you over that hump, and then you sort of take off. And that's what I love the most about like ChatGPT, is not to build entire things for me, but just to get me unstuck.
That's right. Educate me on this.
Right. All right. Well, thanks everyone. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you very much, Jeremy. This was great.
See you,
Really
Jeremy.
was.
Thanks.
Good stuff. Thank you.